Business Live. Tonight, oil market leader Guel finally adjusts fuel prices by more than 2% a litre. Ahead, we hear from analyst Dr. Yusuf Suleimana, who says we could be paying more for fuel in the coming days.
Crude oil prices, which are called the wild card in this three category, is the one that is actually pushing all these dynamics. And unfortunately, Ghana as a country, we don't have control over whatever the global dynamics are going to be.
Ghana-UK tariff free trade agreement set to begin Friday.
The 1st of October, we'll also start implementing the Ghana-UK interim partnership, trade partnership and investment agreement.
Plus, government reveals 1 billion cedis was spent on subsidizing seeds under the Planting for Food and Jobs initiative in 2020.
Evidence of the government's commitment to support farmers, in particular smallholding farmers. In 2020, this government of Akufo-Addo spent nearly 1 billion Ghana cedis subsidizing seed and fertilizer alone.
We have more from the launch of the National Farmers' Day celebration after this. We begin with fuel prices. Market leader Guel has increased its fuel prices, a situation that would force other players to adjust their prices upwards. Now, a litre of both diesel and petrol is now selling at 6 cedis 50 pesos. It was previously selling at 6 cedis 35 pesos. Speaking on the marketplace earlier, energy strategist Dr. Yusuf Suleimana said the situation is likely to be worse because of developments on the international market, of which the country has no control over.
Look at what is happening. One will always say that it is very unfortunate, but are we able to, blame the PSPs that petroleum services provided? I doubt no, because I believe these things are also, not within their control, if I may put it that way. Because if you look at the dynamics that is causing this to happen, I mean, every pundit who has observed this industry for the past couple of months will expect what is happening.
So was it expected, if we could ask that question?
Yes, I think it was expected, Charles. And why am I saying that? If you look at our price build-up categorically in Ghana, and we have three components that goes into the price build-up. One of them will be the exchange rates, of course, the taxes, and then the crude oil in the global market. Whatever the crude oil sells in the global market, it will have direct cascading impact at our pumps. And looking closely on all these three factors, I think none of them is working to the favor of the poor consumer, unfortunately. Exchange rates are largely not stable, of course. Taxes are high on the roof, almost 50% of what the consumer pays at the pump. And then crude oil prices, which are called the wild card in this three category, is the one that is actually pushing all these dynamics. And unfortunately, Ghana as a country, we don't have control over whatever the global dynamics are going to be. So, of course, these three factors are what is accountable for what is happening now. And I think, like I said, every expert or every pundit who monitors the industry will expect nothing but what is happening.
In other news, the Ghana-UK trade agreement is set to begin Friday. This was revealed by the Minister of Trade and Industry. The agreement aims to secure tariff-free trade and provide a platform for greater economic and cultural cooperation. Speaking at the inauguration of the 6-member governing board of the Ghana Standards Authority, the minister called on the institution to expand Ghana's opportunities in the international market. There's more in this report.
The Ghana-UK Trade Partnership Agreement will support businesses to increase their processes, encourage innovation in the market and create jobs as the country recovers from the ravaging effect of the coronavirus pandemic. The Trade Minister, while announcing the commencement of the agreement, added that other market integration frameworks such as the African Continental Free Trade Area, EU-Ghana Economic Partnership Agreement are already being implemented. He therefore urged the newly inaugurated board of the Ghana Standards Authority to support government's flagship program.
Ghana has signed on to a number of major international trade agreements, including the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, the AfCFTA. We've also started implementing the new Ghana-EU Economic Partnership Agreement, which opens up the entire EU market to Ghana duty-free, quota-free. On the 1st of October, we'll also start implementing the Ghana-UK Interim Partnership, Trade Partnership and Investment Agreement.
Professor Felix Charles Robertson, on behalf of the board members, thanked the President for the confidence reposed in them.
We shall ensure that the strategies and policies agreed by the board are effectively implemented by the Director General and the GSA management team. We shall also establish good corporate governance practices and procedures and promote the highest standards of integrity.
Ghanaian products, including bananas, tinned tuna, and cocoa, will benefit from the tariff-free access to the United Kingdom once the agreement takes effect. Ghana's largest exports to the UK include mineral fuels and oil. Its top imports include textiles, machinery and mechanical appliances, and chemical products from the United Kingdom. Christian Yali for Joy Business.
Now, the Minister of Food and Agriculture, Dr. Usufia Kutu, has revealed that about 1 billion cedis was spent on subsidizing seeds under the Planting for Food and Jobs initiative in 2020. According to him, the well-being of farmers is a priority to government despite the financial challenges. Now, despite skepticism, the minister assured there would be abundance of food in the coming year. He was speaking at the launch of the 37th edition of the National Farmers' Day. Barely 2 months after the implementation of the Planting for Food and Jobs initiative, there was shortage of seedlings. Government had to turn to Burkina Faso for help at the time. At the launch of the 37th edition of National Farmers' Day, the Minister of Food and Agriculture, Dr. Usufia Kutu, disclosed that about 1 billion cedis was spent on subsidizing seeds under the Planting for Food and Jobs initiative last year.
As we think through how to increase support to farmers, the National Farmers' Day celebration should give some assurance to farmers that they will remain a priority in our quest to catalyze the modernization of agriculture to boost Ghana's economic and social development. And as evidence of the government's commitment to support farmers, in particular smallholding farmers, in 2020, this government of Akufo-Addo spent nearly 1 billion Ghana cedis subsidizing seed and fertilizer alone.
Deputy Minister of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development, Moses Enim, reiterated his outfit's commitment to sanitize the fisheries sector. According to him, the pandemic necessitated deliberation, which led to the formation of some policies to improve the sector.
He is poised to sanitize the fisheries sector and ensure that the enormous potential, especially in agriculture, are fully exploited in collaboration with relevant stakeholders. We can all attest to the fact that the COVID-19 post-era has enabled discussions and learning among stakeholders from the crisis to improve the sustainability and resilience of fisheries and aquaculture in food systems. The outcomes of this key engagement must be put to action through policy formulation and implementation with full commitment by government.
This year's National Farmers' Day celebrations will be held in the Central Region. According to the Regional Minister, Justina Asan, Hosting the celebration this year was the appropriate time as the Central region recently got a grip of the Planting for Food and Jobs program.
This year's celebration in the region has come at a time where the region is actively participating in the Planting for Food and Jobs program, which has benefited thousands of people in the region. The 31st Farmers' Day celebration, which will be held in the Central region, has the ability to harness the numerous economic potentials by boosting the local economy, as people will be hosted in our hotels. People will also be doing business with us. Sightseeing will be there because we are the hub of tourism in the region, and employment will be created for food vendors to also get enough money.
Government's involvement in the management of the yet-to-be-launched National Development Bank will affect the progress of the bank and dilute its intended purpose. That's key amongst findings by the African Center for Economic Transformation. With the Agricultural Development Bank and the National Investment Bank in focus, the research showed that the two banks are still being influenced by government decisions. Country Director of Agence Française de Développement, Christophe Cote, says the integration of foreign investors in the governance structure of development banks will help reduce political interference in their activities. More in this report.
Director of Research and Advisory at the African Center for Economic Transformation, Dr. Edward Odum, explains that the main rationale behind the research is to propose ways to solve credit and financing problems of financial institutions in Africa. He was speaking during a validation workshop on a research conducted by the African Center for Economic Transformation on the topic, The Political Economy of National Development Banks, ADB and NIB in Perspective. According to him, the research has been conducted to aid in the formulation of policies to further strengthen operations of development banks in Ghana.
From last year, we took on the challenge to engage directly with the private sector to provide a very holistic approach to economic transformation. And so looking at the private sector, we basically are focused on two things: supporting at the policy level and then also directly being involved with SMEs at the micro level. Now, if you look at SMEs, then they come and you do a lot of analysis and assessment. They come with their own myriad of challenges. And one of these challenges is actually access to financing and cheap financing, if I may say so. And so looking at this, we've actually commissioned a number of different studies where we look at how do we de-risk financing into the SME sector.
Head consultant at ACET, Professor Joshua Abo, is optimistic that the Development Bank Act 2020 could realign development banks back to their main purpose.
If you want to look at these institutions as development banks, then we need to look beyond profit making. So performance will not be looked at in terms of profitability, but also in terms of the developmental impact, because from the discussion, we define what development banks are. Development banks are set up to achieve socio-economic objectives or goals. And so if you're looking at it in terms of making sufficient profit to get you going, and at the same time achieving your developmental objectives or impact, they will say you are really operating as a development bank.
Head of Private Sector Development at ACET, Charles Odum, believes that the restructuring of the governance arrangements of development banks could be a first step in ensuring maximum results are achieved.
By definition, the government has a majority share in the development banks. So there would always be some kind of political interference. The question is, what is the nature of the governance arrangement that allows the development banks to operate within a framework which is developmental oriented? And what we're trying to assess today is to see the extent to which these banks, which have been developed, established over the last 30, 40 years, whether or not the institutional arrangement, the governance arrangement are still fit for purpose.
And you're watching Business Live. We are taking a short break. Still ahead, we have our eyes on the Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana. It is set to launch Ghana's first Customer Satisfaction Index report. We'll bring you that event live when it starts. Stay tuned.
Hi there, welcome to the Money Lab. Today we'll look at treasury bills and bonds. We'll compare both of them. Now, for treasury bills, what do they mean? They are short-term money market instruments issued by the government. How about bonds? They are long-term capital market instruments also issued by the government. Comparison based on maturity length. For treasury bills, they are issued with a maturity of 1 year or less. For bonds, they are issued from 3 years upward. Interest payments. For treasury bills, they are issued at discounted prices. And for treasury bonds, they are not issued at a discount, but they pay interest every 6 months and pay the face value of the investment at the time of maturity. Now, what are the types? For treasury bills, there is a 91-day, the 182-day bill, and then the 364-day bill. For bonds, there are the municipal bonds, corporate bonds, the Government of Ghana bonds, zero coupon bonds, green bonds, and so many more. How about price fluctuations? Price fluctuations are less with regards to treasury bills since it matures in a very short time. For bonds, price fluctuations are more due to the longer maturity period.
And welcome back. Some programming note to alert you on. The tourism sector has been pummeled by the pandemic. Now there are efforts to rejuvenate the sector through domestic tourism. So tonight on Joy Business Social, I'll be engaging various stakeholders, including Emmanuel Frimpong, who is Executive Secretary of the Ghana Tourism Federation, Radia Damasani, Country Head for Africa Association of Women in Hospitality and Tourism, and Akwesi Ajimansi of the Ghana Tourism Authority on reviving our domestic tourism. That conversation happening in about 30 minutes time. That's 6 p.m. Joy Business Social across all our social media platforms. Now, in other news, the National Coordinator for the SCORE initiative at the International Labour Organization, Samuel Esiedu, is calling on multinationals and financial institutions to support the initiative aimed at helping small and medium enterprises improve on productivity. The program, which has benefited more than 350 local firms so far, is expected to expand to other parts of the country with necessary support. Samuel Esiedu has been speaking with Joy Business after engaging lead buyers in Accra.
The SCORE program by the International Labour Organization has been running in Ghana since 2009 with support from the Swiss government and now the German government through the GIZ. The buyers' engagement was aimed at propagating the good news of the initiative and sharing challenges faced by Ghanaian small enterprises with multinational firms in order to get them on board with more support. According to the national coordinator, Samuel Esiedu, this will help expand the program to other areas of the country.
The enterprises also do business with these major organizations, and it is just right to ensure that these enterprises are delivering quality services. And for us to ensure that, we need to actually build the capacity of these enterprises. So lead buyers, not only banks, they could be other multinationals. They could be in the processing sector, they could be in the mining sector, they could be in the service sector, but have a number of actors in their supply chain delivering services. Can subscribe to SCORE for these enterprises, just to build their capacity and improve productivity and quality of these enterprises.
Implementing partners for the program, the Management Development and Productivity Institute said that the capacity building training for the beneficiaries has been yielding some results. Here is Deputy Managing Director for the Institute, Bernice Ajay.
Going very, very well, and there's so many enterprises that are waiting to be part of this training. They really need it. What the awareness that we are creating is that employers must be able to enhance their employees' training so that they can do a better job, and through that the productivity will be increased. I think that we don't connect productivity with training for our workers, but through this people are becoming in fact aware of the health and safety issues, the issues, mental health issues and social issues with our workers. And through that, once you've identified all this and also put a plan in place for workers' safety at work, I think productivity is increased.
The initiative is expected to benefit SMEs in all sectors of the economy.
Member of Parliament for Isikado Ketan constituency Joe Gate has called on government to revise the legal regime and framework of the private sector to ensure economic independence. According to him, the future of Ghana depends on the private sector, as history has shown that government does not need to do much but to create a comfortable working environment for the private sector to thrive. He said this at the launch of the UPSA Enterprise and Innovation Center.
Government has been charged to retool the legal environment and framework of the private sector to warrant economic liberation. Speaking at the launch of the UPSA Enterprise and Innovation Center, Member of Parliament for Isikado Ketan constituency, Joe Gate, referred government to history on how to create unimaginable opportunities for the private sector. Listen to his acceptance speech as chairman of the advisory board of the UPSA Enterprise and Innovation Center.
There are examples of the private sector being the engine of growth in several countries. This is also the case in Ghana, and there are sectors that the sectors in the private sector that have developed beyond our imagination. The question is, what then must the state and other stakeholders do to release the energies of our youth and business community in order for them to create wealth? In 1994, Charles Weku Broby, fondly known as Charlie Brobs, tested the constitutional provisions of the freedom of the press by establishing a private radio station called Radio I. This was the beginning of our work as a nation to press freedom, and led eventually to the establishment of a multitude of radio and television stations. What did government do to make this happen? Did government give people money to establish the radio stations? Did government subsidize these media outlets? The answer is no. Government simply created the legal environment which enabled the private sector to operate, and indeed the private sector has responded.
Chief Executive of InnoHub, Nelson Amo, disclosed that his outfit has funded the initiative with about $25,000. As a member of the advisory board for the center, Mr. Amo pledged his company's support to ensuring the realization of the program through structuring.
Our role has been the structuring this whole program to see how can it meet the needs of student entrepreneurs. So what the components should go in at business incubation, at ideation, all the various components of this business support program. UNOHAB has basically been the driver behind setting the structures. In terms of the support that we have put in to quantify that one, it's running into about $25,000 so far.
One of the students, Bright York, expressed his delight and stated that he looks forward to submitting his business proposal to be considered.
I really would want to appreciate UPSA for this initiative, and personally I'm thrilled, yes, to come to the fact that we students of the University of Professional Studies and students who are also from other universities are being given the opportunity to nurture business ideas which will be profitable to University of Professional Studies and then the nation at large.
And that's Business Live. Thanks for watching, everyone. Remember that we are following events at the launch of Ghana's first Customer Satisfaction Index report. We'll be bringing you that program live when it starts here on JoyNews. Yeah, I'm told that it's happening live right now. So we want to take you there for the commencement of that program. That's my colleague, Winston Amwa, who is moderating.
2, we should please be minded that within the next 5 minutes, the program would begin. Thank you.
Okay, so we have 5 minutes more to start. When it does, we'll take you to the launch of Ghana's first Customer Satisfaction Index report. Goodbye.